And then the next thing you notice is that you're not in your body. You can see yourself lying on the floor. It's like it's a strange feeling, yet it's a calm feeling. Um, there's once you leave all that pain behind, it's the feeling is very, very. I don't even know how can I describe it. It's calm. Um, it's a sense of, wow, that burden of that body is gone. The burden. It's something that
It's heavy. It sounds like it's like the heavy thing
yeah,
when you like almost leaving, like they say when in the gospel song, leaving my burdens behind.
yeah. You leave, all the burdens are gone, and you feel this peace. It's a peace.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl E, and this is the Vision Rebirth podcast. This is a podcast where we explore life changing stories of near death experiences, out of body experiences, divine dreams, meditations, and encounters with higher beings. And today I have a special guest. He's an Army veteran, public speaker, and author of the book I Walk Amongst Gods, an amazing journey into the realms of the afterlife. Jeff Cleckley.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
For sure, for sure. I'm happy you're here.
Yes.
I was always intrigued by your story.
Mm,
So I guess like let's just get into like what that experience was like, you first leaving your body.
okay. So yeah, I overdosed in it was April 6th, 2013, and I overdosed and I started to let's see. During this overdose, I began to sweat profusely. I began to vomit, and then to get to the leaving of the body, I was down on the bathroom floor, and there's just this innate sense of knowing you're going to die. It's something that, um, since my near death experience, I've heard many people say, you say they reconcile with, oh, this is it. And you can feel it before you're leaving your body. You can feel it, and you pretty much come to terms with it. And that's what I was doing. I was coming to terms with it. I was angry because I didn't want to die at this point, but I was coming to terms with it. And then um, the pain I was in, all the pain that I was feeling at that time, um, it just goes away. You know, you don't feel any pain anymore. And then the next thing you notice is that you're not in your body. You can see yourself lying on the floor. It's like it's a strange feeling, yet it's a calm feeling. Um, there's once you leave all that pain behind, the feeling is very, very. I don't even know how can I describe it. It's calm. Um, it's a sense of, wow, that burden of that body is gone. The burden. It's something that
It's heavy. It sounds like it's like the heavy thing
yeah,
when you like almost leaving, like they say when in the gospel song, leaving my burdens behind.
yeah. You leave, all the burdens are gone, and you feel this peace. It's a peace, and just seeing my body there, I knew this was it at that time as well. And that's when I was whisked, down this tunnel, you know, and and you get this feeling of moving through the tunnel, but I distinctively remember there's no wind hitting me in the face. There's no sense. The five senses that you have here are gone. Like that sense of wind rushing against you. Jumping out of planes, I could feel that. I know that sense of moving fast through the air. Um, and then all of a sudden I'm there. I'm standing in this place. um, I could say it's everywhere, it's nowhere. And one of the things I remember, I used to tell this all the time, is that my peripheral vision, You know how we can see our hands and our arms and our limbs through our peripheral. There was no hands, arms, or limbs in my peripheral vision. That was strange to me as well. Yet I had a sense of everything going on around me, even behind me, in front of me. Um, and you arrive at this point, this place. I call it the second heaven now. You know, you arrive at this place and
What did it
you're
look like?
darkness background. Everything's dark, yet there is light to see. I can't explain it. Imagine looking into the nighttime sky, yet there's no stars. You know, there's no stars or anything, and yet it's illuminated where you're at. Where you're at is illuminated, and these beings are illuminated as well, and you get the sense that you're illuminated as well. You know, and it's like you can sense everything that is going on. You can sense what they're saying to you. You can sense what their intentions are. You can sense all of everything. It's like your senses are. This sense is not like five senses. This is like intuition, awakened intuition that is not intuition. It's just a knowing. You just know. You have a grasp of knowing. What is around you, what is about to happen, what and then let's see what is about to happen, knowing like they didn't speak with mouths, they didn't speak with mouths, and it was just they put the thoughts into you, and I would say into your head, but you don't have a head. You know, they just put the thoughts into your consciousness.
And what did they look like? The beings.
For me, and I just say for me, I think they look like what you are comfortable with. These were women.
Interesting.
They were female presence. You know, it was a female presence. I can't give you an exact look. The one I can, it was just a woman. You know, I can't say if she was white or black or if she had any color to her. Yet she was the most calming thing that was there. There was a female presence. Um,
Interesting.
but that's just like I said, that's for me. And what I've come to understand, I believe that you're presented with what you are comfortable with there in order to keep you calm
Keep you calm.
and relaxed. And so, um, you know, and they began to show me my life, you know, the life that I lived. And this life was, they were basically, it was a coaching and a chastisement of sorts. I always say chastisement of sorts because it wasn't like they were saying, you know what, you beat that person up, you didn't, you kicked them when they were on the ground, and it wasn't like they were saying that was bad. What they were saying was, next time you're in that situation, take this route, you know.
Okay.
And they spoke as if, which I already knew was coming, that I was going to do this again, but not in that body that was left there on my bathroom floor. You know, so when they were telling me about what I was doing wrong, it was more like coaching me for the next life. And you got the sense of that and you felt it. And
How did you see this the life review, or like how were you viewing this?
it was in vivid color right in front of me. And not only was it in vivid color, I could feel the feelings of the people that I harmed and the people that I helped. So you could feel their what they felt at that time, you know, and that was pretty much the conviction enough to make you feel bad. You know, I felt the way they were given, like I said, this chastisement of sorts, the way they were giving that to me, I felt, I want to say 10 times worse than that, you know, because I could feel the way I made them feel. And then I was convicted that that was wrong, you know.
So you already knew, so they didn't even have to like
No,
go OD with you.
no,
Like,
exactly. They really, it was, they were so calm, and they were loving. And that's the one other thing that I felt there was love. That's all you felt. There was nothing else, you know. I always speak about my father because my father is a loving man. You know, we had this thing where when I was a child, when I was from the first time that I can remember, we developed this big hug, and we gave big hugs, me and my father, every time we would encounter each other, every time. And he would say it, Jeff, give me my big hug. Can I get my big hug today? And, every day, can I get my big hug? And we hugged. And when we still do it to this day, my father will be 80 years old, and we still do it to this day when he comes, and I get my big hug. And so that love that he put into me, and even as a grown man, he told me, when I hugged you, I was actually putting love into you. When I squeezed you, my intention was to put my love into you. And so,
Mm,
even my father's love, that love that he's given me here on this earth, it couldn't compare to this love that was there. Couldn't compare.
interesting.
Um,
Interesting.
um, so this love it's powerful. Like and then so I wanted to say it's so powerful that you're willing to go and do whatever that they direct you to do. And
Interesting.
you are
Huh.
powerless. This is one of the things I say too. You are powerless to do otherwise anyway.
Hmm.
You're powerless to.
Explain that a bit more. Like, explain
I
that a bit more.
I had never felt so helpless as to what my fate would be.
Okay.
Okay, so I had a few parachuting accidents. In that moment, I knew I need to struggle to survive. I need to fight to survive. I can overcome this pain that I'm in. I can overcome whatever is happening to me because I have this thing within inside of me that I can overcome this. Right? There there's no overcoming, there's no way to escape this. It's like you're powerless to escape what is about to happen to you. And so
Interesting.
when you're standing there, there's no, your fate is whatever they determine, whatever that thing we call God. I say they now because, you know, I studying the Trinity of many things in spirituality. This thing we call God is what I've come to understand is everything anyway. So
Right.
if I say
Right.
they, I'm still speaking of that thing we call God. So you're powerless to do anything. You're not. There's no. Well, Mike said that if I did it this way, that no, there's none of that. There's no excuses. You don't have any excuses. All you have is that your life up there. It tells the whole story. And I try to convey this to people that the life you're living right now is your whole story that's going to be up there. That's going to be your evidence of what happens to you. There's no
What happens to
what
you
happens to
next?
you
Is that
next. Yes, that's your
okay?
evidence. There's no explaining out of it. Now the way the way I came back was I just told them, look, you sent me down there, because after they showed me my life review, and I knew I was going with them, they were about to take me to reincarnate. I said, look,
To reincarnate.
yes,
Okay.
this is the best feeling that I've ever felt in all of my life. So if I go with you, fine, because this is the best feeling that I've felt in all of my existence on earth. If I go with you, fine. And when I was saying that, I was seeing, they were showing me in my mind that I was going to reincarnate back into life as a baby and do all those things that I did wrong, that they told me that I was doing wrong, get them right, and even learn more things, you know.
Right. Right.
So when I said, you sent me down there, you never told me how to do it. You never showed me how to do it. Yet I stand before you and you tell me everything I did wrong. You show me everything I did wrong. If I go with you, fine. But if you send me back, if you teach me how to do it and send me back, I'll get it right. I'll get
Right.
it right. And with that, that's when the it was those three beings that were with me in the beginning. There were millions more just like them that just lit up and off in the distance. They weren't stars. They were beings just like these three. And that's when this thunder, this roar, it was like, okay, you want to go back? Okay, you want us to teach you? Well, there's a deal that's going to be made. They're telling me this. What you got to do is teach it to the world, and these million beings, I say million, but it was uncountable in my judgment. um, they began to speak with a loud thunder, and they all were saying something different, and I was trying to comprehend what they were saying. And as I'm about to tell the main being that was in front of me, I can't understand this. It's hurting my head. It's hurting my mind. Before I could even get it out, she said, "Don't even try to understand it. You'll know it when you get back."
Mm.
And then they began to speak to me. They began to speak about the what mankind is going through right now. This was
Right.
2013, and that we're being corralled into a way of thinking that is not our own. We're given choices all through our existence. We're given choices, and they were referring to governments. Um,
Okay.
they were referring to uh, to entities that all of this was being put in my head. I didn't speak a lot of this. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time to speak these in interviews. All of this was being put into my head. They were referring to entities that were here before us, that
Mm.
possess the leaders of this world
Interesting.
into uh, doing the things that they do towards mankind. So these entities are putting into the minds of our leaders that we do these things that are only detrimental to our humanity, our societies, and
Hmm.
that they give us choices, but these choices all lead to the same path of destruction. These few choices. Now, I didn't grasp what the choices were at the time, and
Right.
yet as when I came back and years later, I can see the choices. I could see the things that we're presented with, and they tell us, "Oh, this is going to be great for this." Yes, this internet will be great for this, but they don't tell us what it's bad for. This smartphone will be great for this, but they don't tell us what it's bad for. Oh, this vaccine will be great for this, but they don't tell us what it's bad for. This technology that we have is great for this, but they don't tell us what it's bad for, and so we choose it. We choose it thinking that, oh, we got a choice to choose these things, and that this is going to be great for humanity, but it always works out that it's not great for humanity. You know,
So, what are our real choices then?
our real choices are, and this is what we what I haven't conveyed to many people yet. And our real choices, and it's in the enlightenment, the awakening. Our real choices are when we go within, when we're presented with those choices, and we don't accept those choices. We go within and we ask that higher thing, that greater thing than us, is this choice right for us? So, and then you will get your answer from, I always point over here because this is where Metatron is always at. You will get your answer from your higher self, your higher being, the creator. It will tell you if that is the choice that you should make. And and most of the times, like I can talk about the vaccine. I guess I don't know if it can, but
No, go ahead. Yeah.
my when I when I went into meditation about this thing, I was told that the choice was wrong.
Right.
That
Right.
that choice was wrong to not take this thing,
To
and
not.
so
Oh, to you were taught to not take the
to not
vaccine.
take the
Okay.
vaccine,
Okay.
and I was shown that the monster, this monster that everyone is afraid of, is not the real monster, which was COVID. It's not the
Right.
real, and I was shown that the vaccine was the monster. It was the bad thing.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
when I was given a choice to take it, I said no because I confronted with my higher self in this thing.
Did did it say like? Did it like? Is there an answer as to why it was the monster?
Um, it didn't really. It didn't say. It said it was bad for humanity, bad for our DNA, bad for. It told me a lot of things it was bad for. It was
Right.
bad for our DNA. These things we put into our bodies. And and things we put into our bodies, they alter our DNA and our connection with spirit,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so with our creator. And so you know, I before this, I asked about it, but even before this, because I died from an overdose, I stopped
Mhm.
putting any foreign thing into my body anyway. And they told me to watch what I put in my body, what through all of the orifices of my body, to
Mm.
maintain and watch what goes in. What you see, don't look at it, gory, crazy things like that. Don't watch anything that's gory or that, because it all impresses on your subconscious mind.
That it
Don't
does.
what you breathe in, what you eat, what you listen to. Listen to positive. If you want a positive life, listen to positive things. And they instructed me on these things, so it wasn't a hard choice for me, to have my family, myself, abstain from this foreign substance that they wanted to put into our bodies, that we really didn't know what it was.
Interesting. Now you mentioned Metatron, and that's what I want
Metatron.
to ask about. And I
Mhm.
know that because you also had a sort of second out of body experience with your nephew. So can you explain Metatron and
Oh yeah.
how he had something to do with your second out of body experience?
Yes. So uh, leading up to when I first got back, my senses were heightened. I could literally see molecules in the air when I first got back, and, and,
Mm.
and my intuition was heightened, and I had all these gifts, of knowing somebody's coming to my house or something like that.
So
Things
they
like that.
gave you gifts when you came
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly believe you can't get that close to God and not have these gifts awakened in you without even asking
Mm.
for them. And so these gifts were there, yet I had to understand them. I had to learn how to use them. And so I wanted to get back to that place. That's how much love I felt there. I wanted to get back. I wanted to feel that feeling. So I experimented with many things, and I found that meditation was the way, you know. And so
Just
this deep
regular the trans
transcendental meditation, yes. This
So what's transcendental meditation versus other meditations?
Well,
Like,
I would say they're pretty much the same. Transcendental just means that you go a little deeper. You stay a little longer. You put the body to sleep, and the mind is awakened. It's still awake, but you relax the mind. You relax the mind and the body until the body's asleep and the mind is still awake. And then at this point, most people think that meditation is just, I'm just going to relax the mind and that's it. No, but there's a deeper thing to it. And once you get in that state, I would say that's when you begin to listen, because all of the truths that you're searching for are there, and you begin to listen. And then I learned how to I was always in contact with Metatron. When I first got back, I didn't know it was Metatron. I would just listen,
okay,
and I would ask questions while I was in this state, and it would give me all truth. It would tell me everything I wanted to know. Any concern that I had, I would ask it about it, and it would tell me yes or no. And mostly yes. And it's mostly yes. That's the thing. It's mostly yes. And these yeses, they you have to believe in it. Because I've had situations where I've asked it for something and it said yes, and that person said no. You know,
yeah, you still gotta.
yeah, and then I went back and I said, Metatron, he said that this would happen. All right, I'll give an example of the house that I was purchasing. I wanted to purchase a house from a person, and they wanted all the cash, they wanted it all up front. And I went to him, he said no. And Metatron told me, yeah, before I went. And then so so I went back into meditation. I gave the man my number, and everything, and left it at that. I said, if you change your mind, give me a call. And I went back to Metatron. I said, Metatron, you said he was going to do it. And he said no. And then Metatron said, just believe. And if I tell you it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I just kept asking. I'd be in meditation. You said it was going to happen. 2 weeks later, the man calls me up. What was that deal you wanted to do? I ended up getting the house, on
Mm.
my terms. And so it always happens like that. So anyway, I'll go back to how me and Metatron, how I knew it was Metatron, and that was for 6 months I've been talking to this entity in my deep meditation. Not only in my deep meditation, but while I'm walking, while I'm talking, he'll tell me, it just the smallest thing. Pick up that pencil. Take that pencil with you where you're going. And I'm like, why would I need to take a pen? You know what? I'm gonna take this pen and pen. I remember it vividly. I was walking out the door. He said, grab the pen. I said, why would I? You know what? I'm just gonna listen. And I grab the pen and I'm walking and I go to this place and somebody says, anybody got a pen? And I'm like, wow, here's the pen. But these things happen. They happen, and they were to build my confidence and my confidence in this voice, this Metatron, this entity. So for 6 months, I'm talking. I remember one of my nephews. He got into a. He's on camera stomping a man out because it was some racist thing that happened at a bar, and they got him filmed and everything. He's on the Channel 11 news, and he's gone to jail. And I was like, you know what, I gotta intervene. Metatron, is there any way we can? And he's like, yep, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And sure enough, my nephew never did a day in jail over that.
Mm.
Things like that. So Metatron's giving me all this. He's telling me everything, but I don't know it's Metatron. And then one day, I just didn't know I could ask. So I find a
Like, who are
meditation.
you?
Yeah. So I find a meditation. Um, I, I give him props. Paul Santisi. He's on YouTube. He's been on for a while. This guy, he was in Vegas, and he said one day he heard a voice tell him that he needs to make some meditations and guided meditations and affirmations for people, and just put them on YouTube for free. And so I found this guy, and I found one of his meditations that take you deeper, and you can ask these questions. And I didn't know I could ask these questions. So I used this meditation, and that's the day I asked it its name, and it told me, and I go deep into meditation, and I'm like, all right, so what's your name? Because I'm trying to figure out who I'm talking to. You're leading me, you're guiding me. Everything seems great. You're guiding me in everything. You actually make me seem like I got this superpower to predict things because you tell me things that are going to happen. And it's Metatron. And I didn't even know who Metatron was. I didn't know anything because I was raised in Christian arenas. And so I had to search who this was, because like I said, it was, I always say, Megatron. I remember Megatron from
Right.
the
Yeah.
Transformers growing up in the 80s. That was the bad guy. And I was like, well, I need to know,
You gotta
you know.
make sure, like,
Yeah.
who are you? Like,
And
yeah.
and so I looked it up and found it in the uh, Jewish text, uh,
Okay.
who this Metatron is, and come to find out, Metatron was in the Jewish Apocrypha, I believe that's what it's called. That Metatron was, he was Enoch, the Enoch that
Mm.
we know about in our Bible, but we only know a
Yeah.
little bit about Enoch. And say Enoch
Yeah.
was served God, he walked with God, and then God called
And he
Enoch, and he
did.
was
He
no
just
more.
went up. Yeah.
Yeah. So this Enoch, and you start to look at the books. I started to study the books that didn't make it into the Bible, and the book of Enoch, and how he he what did he do? He petitioned for the fallen ones, the ones who were sent here to this realm by God in the beginning, before us, when they decided that they didn't they the angel Lucifer and the 1/3 of the angels were cast out of heaven, and these were the 1/3 of the angels, and some of them wanted to get back. They knew they could never go back, so Enoch petitioned for them with
To
God
be able to come back.
to be able to come back. God said no, but yet um, through all of this, when Enoch, when he was transcended into heaven, he was transformed into the angel Metatron, who became
Interesting.
the scribe of God. And if Metatron says it, that means God said it, because he's the scribe. He writes down what God says, and he speaks, and he intervenes. Metatron's role is to not intervene, but guide mankind in their journey on Earth, and help them with get to their through God. I guess he's like in.
So
what
he's like a
intercessor.
he's a good guy,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
He's a
he's an
good guy.
intercessor.
But
Yeah,
these like one third angels that are here,
yeah.
are they bad guys then? Like Lucifer and all of them? Like they're
Well,
like the villains?
what I've come, what I've come to understand, this is their world. This is the world that they
Okay.
were sent to, and they have power over this world. And as
Interesting.
these are the ones who can possess, if you believe in possession, which most religions
Mhm.
do, who can possess our world leaders to lead us into this down this path of destruction.
Right, right. Interesting.
So
Wow.
there is a darkness in this world, yet I focus on the light. I still focus on the light because um I love that scripture, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. You know, this is
I
the
fear
valley
no
of the
evil.
shadow of death. This
Mhm.
this world we live in is the valley of the shadow of death. You know,
So does everyone have access to Megatron? Like not
meta, meta,
Megatron,
meta,
Metatron? Yeah, does
yeah, everyone has access to Metatron, just like they have access to the Archangel Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and
so
all of them.
all of those are like they're like the same as
Yeah,
Metatron.
yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
they're good and they're trying to guide mankind
yes.
in the right way.
hmm Yeah, they call
Okay.
Metatron the young angel because he was made an angel many, many, many eons and uh, times after the other angels were formed.
Right.
So
Okay.
he's called the young angel. Um,
Okay.
that's one of his many names. Um, so yeah, Metatron. I just basically, a lot of people would say that's your higher self. Well, he gave me the name Metatron, so that's what I call him. And then when he told me this, I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want it. And I just continued because I had a circle of people that I'd found by this time who were enlightened, and
Yeah.
we would have these masterminds and everything. I never told them because once when he told me not to say anything. He said there'll be a
Yeah.
time when you can speak my name, but now is not the time. So
Mm.
I would just tell him my higher self told me this. My higher self told me that. Even my closest friend in this awakening, I didn't tell him for years. You know.
And so Metatron, he helped you get your nephew back from
Oh
his
yeah,
coma.
yeah. So this was. I'm losing track of dates, but it's in my book. And so my nephew, he was was he a junior, I believe, in high school. Might have been a sophomore or something. I can't remember. But so they live 300 miles away in Virginia. And
Okay.
one day I get a call from my brother. It's a Friday, and he says, my son has he OD'd. He took these. They got this game that they played where every Friday these kids would bring some medicine from their parents' medicine cabinet and divvy it up and just pop them, and he took his and slipped into a coma. Whatever he took put him in a coma. He's on life support. And my brother calls me and he says they got him on life support, and they said if he doesn't awaken by Sunday, they're going to pull the plug.
Mm.
They're going to pull the plug. And it was Friday. And he said he may be brain dead. He's got some activity in his brain, but they believe he's brain dead, and they're going to pull the plug. And so I remember that Friday. I used to help a lot of people with this gift, and I got very busy, and I forgot. I really forgot. I forgot. It just slipped my mind. And then Saturday night, I went into meditation. I said, "Oh, we got to do this." And I go to Metatron. I say, "Can you? Is there anything we can do?" And with that, I'm in deep meditation. With that, he whisks me to this place, and we arrive at this place, and I have to say that it's a place where children who are in comas go. That's all. And
Hmm.
Jesus Christ was there. Jesus was
Hmm.
there, and he was comforting them. Yet my nephew, he was off in the distance. He was off on his own. And how can I describe it? It was a playground. We were actually in a playground. It was a playground. He was sitting on uh, the steps of a slide. And this is where I talked to him. And I don't know if I even put that in the book. I can't remember. He was sitting on the steps of a slide, and we're in this playground. And this was a magnificent, peaceful place. kids, they're actually playing. Jesus is playing with them, and their minds are, but they're like at ease. But my nephew was troubled,
Mm.
and so I began to talk to him in this place. And Metatron just he stood right beside me, and we talked. And Metatron was showing me things as we're talking. He's showing me his life. He's showing me the future of his life. He's downloading into me what is going to happen to my nephew. You
Right.
and then I'm telling him, you need to come back. Your parents are your parents are they're worried. Your sister, she's worried. It was, I remember at that time they were close. Him and his sister were close. Your sister's worried, your mom, your stepmother's worried, your father's worried. You should go back. And he was like, I'm afraid they're going to be mad at me. I said,
Mm.
believe me, when you wake up, they're going to see a smile. You're going to see a smile on their face. I said, whatever it is, you can get over that. You can get past it. And he was like, okay, I'm coming back. And I didn't feel it. Over there, you can't lie. You can't really tell a lie. So I knew he wasn't telling the truth.
Right.
And I said, nope, you got to promise me you're going to come back. And he was like, and so I finally got him, convinced him. I said, your life is set up right now to where you're going to be helping people. You should come back. You're going to be saving people's lives. You're going to be helping people. And um, you really should come back. Your parents miss you. Your sister misses you. And so I convinced him. And he said, yeah, I'm going to come back. He said, I'm going to come back. He said, but I just want to stay here just a little while longer because
Mm.
feeling is the best feeling I ever felt in all my life. And I said, you know what? I know what you're talking about. It is the best feeling. I know exactly what you're talking about. And so with that, Metatron whisked me back, and I get back into my body and I wake up. And as soon as I wake up from this meditation, I text my brother. It's probably 2 in the morning. And I text my brother. I text him our conversation, the conversation I had with him, and I text him that he's coming back.
Right.
And
Right.
and so that I fall asleep. That next morning, I wake up around 9 o'clock, and I look at my phone, and my brother said, confirmation. It was like everything you said happened. As a matter of fact, he woke up and told us everything that you text me in here. Now, Metatron told me that he always tells me this. He always tells me, tell him not to tell anybody. Tell your brother
Right.
not to tell anybody what you're about to text him. So I texted him and told him everything. But he texted me. He said, that's exactly what happened. He told me everything that
Wow.
y'all said, that you said in that text. He told me. And he come back the next morning, and he's a firefighter to this day down in Richmond, Virginia.
Wow.
That's
That's
and he's
that's
saving
amazing.
lives. He's saving
Yeah.
lives. And so that's some powerful stuff, man. And so like for me, that was for my edification. It just made me stronger. It made me believe even more. And now, my hardest thing at that time, because there's certain aspects in our lives that that to have a full fulfilling life that you must master. you know One is this, your spirituality, your connection with God. Two is your physical, your body. Three is your relationships, love, life, your loving relationship and the people you deal with. Four is, so you got your body, mind, spirit. Um, Four is money. To navigate through this with, because we are all abundant, and we're not told that. Abundance is here for all of us. You can look at, if you walk in and you look at the earth, the abundance is here. If you eliminate money, you'll see there's more gold in the ground. It's gold in the ground. We can all mine for gold if we wanted to. The apple grows on the tree. The fruits grow
It
on the
keeps on
trees. The
growing.
food, the shelter, we can build shelter. This is the abundance that we have, but we're told that there's no abundance because there's that thing called money in the way of abundance. And so I was taught about abundance. I learned about abundance, and once you get rid of this poverty consciousness that they put in you, um, you'll see wealth. You'll see wealth, prosperity. These are the things, happiness, health, wealth, love, and prosperity. These are the things that we must master. And my biggest one all of this time, you know, was money. I couldn't master money. There was prosperity. I knew I was abundant. I started to speak it. And this is how you master all of them. You speak it into existence. And you don't let the outside world tell you otherwise. You know, you just speak it into existence and you continue to speak it into existence. My major teaching, the major thing I teach, I think that was one of the questions. How do we do this? The major thing I
Yeah,
teach is what I've come to study, and that's the power of I am. And what is I am? I am is God. Moses asked God his name in the beginning, and he said,
I am that I
I am
am.
that I am. I am God. I am that I am. And here's the thing: God hid his spirit in us. He hid the I am in us because nobody can say I am for anybody but ourselves. You know. So, and now here's the principle: whatever you put after that I am, that's what you become. So if your mental talk to yourself is I'm stupid, I'm always getting this wrong, I can't get this right, that's what your life will be. That's what it'll be. And what I've come to understand, I got it tattooed on my arm. It's hard to see. I don't know if I could show it. I can't even get it in front of the camera
See
right
a
here.
little bit of it.
I am. The only tattoo I have, I'm not a fad. I've never been a person to be into fads and everything, into what's hot. And, tattoos are big right now. But I only got this tattoo as my reminder because it's upside down to the rest of the world. When my arm's hanging, it's upside down. But to me,
You see it
it's
clearly.
right there. I see it every time my arm is in my peripheral vision. And so this I am, and the three dots behind it mean whatever I say I am. And so this I am that we are, this is what the power that God gave us. Then the Bible speaks about don't take the name of the Lord in vain. Well, what's the name of the Lord? I am.
I
That's
am.
what Moses said. So anytime you take that I am, people used to think that, I used to think that the name of the Lord, don't, when you
Don't
say
swear to God.
God damn, when
Hmm.
that's not taking the Lord's name in vain. And that's, you say that was what I thought was taking the Lord's name in vain. When you no, it's when you speak wrongly about the I am. When you speak a negative about the I am bad at this. I am not good. I am, when that's taking the name of the Lord, and he won't hold you guiltless for it, meaning that he'll hold you accountable for it, meaning that the Lord of the law will give you what you said the I am is. So I only speak positive about myself, only positive, only upward. So when I speak my I ams, they're only positive. I say 96 I ams every morning, at least three times. You know, back when in the beginning, it was more like 20 times. I would speak these 96 and then I'd go back and I'd speak these 96 again and I'd speak them again. And once your subconscious mind believes it, it
You
becomes
unstoppable.
yes. Then that's basically, I got a little cocky, I got a little cocky at one point because I I I got, I was this is my second marriage. I got married during my awakening to a person who wasn't
Mm,
awake. And that's when I got
mm,
cocky because I was so strong in this thing. I believed that I could will this person to love me, and that was the lesson I learned at that very moment. That this power is very powerful. There's one thing it can't do, and that is make anyone love you. They have to do that on their own.
free will.
Yeah.
Mm,
So what I've come to realize is that I don't really care who loves me personally. It doesn't matter because if you don't love me, then you don't need to be in my life. And it made it easy to divorce my second wife because there's a powerful confidence that comes with this power that we have once you awaken it. You know,
mm.
I literally
This
told,
is powerful stuff.
yeah, it's powerful. I literally told her, even though I was in love with her and everything, I said, you know what? I'm trading you in for a newer model. That's what I had to speak to her. I had to speak to her, and I just let her go. I gave her a house. Gave her a whole house. Just go because you're not good for my for me, you know. And that's what we have to do in this life is we got to love ourselves enough to eliminate what does not serve us and eliminate it quickly, you know. The way I eat, it the way I was eating before then, it wasn't serving me, you know. It was leading to my early demise in this world. And now I changed my whole diet. This thing changed my whole life. I'm a totally different person than I was.
Hmm.
The book it shows what I used to do and things I used to do, and I'm totally not that anymore. My publisher, when we wrote this book, that was even divine. The book was even divine because I did an interview on Jeff Mara, and he saw it, and then he finds me, and he says, "Look, I'm a publisher. I've been publishing for many years now. I have a successful publishing business." He said, "But when I first started, excuse me, I'm gonna straighten that. He said, when I first started, um, God told me that I have to do a book for someone for free." And I haven't found that person yet. And guess what? You're it. You're the person. Out of all these years I've been looking, you're the person. And I knew it was divinely guided because Metatron had been telling me, you need to write a book. He said, how are you going to get the world to know you? You're going to write a book. That's how we're going to get this word out. This what they told you to teach. And so he offers me, he gets me a book deal for free, So basically I go into meditation. I told him, I said, I appreciate the offer, yet I got to meditate. I got to ask
Yeah.
Metatron. So I go into meditation, and Metatron said, you know what? Give him, offer him 50% of everything.
Hmm.
So I go back and I say, look, you know, I appreciate you doing it for free, but Metatron told me to give you 50%. He was so taken aback by that. He was so pleased with that he said, look, you know what? We're going to get you an agent. We're going to get you a manager. We're going to push this thing as far as we can push it.
Right.
It was divine. I know it was. It's all divinely guided at this point. Um, I'm supposed to do this, and now he's getting me speaking engagements all over the world, and we're lining them up.
Well, y'all make sure y'all have to get his book. I walk amongst gods, an
Yeah.
amazing journey into the realms of the afterlife. I'll have it linked in the description. And so how can people get in contact with you? How can people, get some of these learnings from you? Let's,
So
shout yourself out now.
so So the way it's set up, like I did sign a contract with him and everything with the publishing company. So if you want to get in touch with the publishing company, you can go to iwalkamongstgods.com. The way they got it set up is sessions. You can do a session, 1 hour session with me, and I teach. I teach. I teach you basically. I'm a healer, so a spiritual healer. So I guide people through mental blocks, things that they need to awaken from. Yet, my most personal thing is just I'm on YouTube. I mean, Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Jeff Cleckley.
Jeff
And
Cleckley on
yeah,
Facebook. We'll have that in the description as well.
yeah. And so that would be the best way to personally get to me. I try to answer everybody. I'm definitely overwhelmed with the success of a few of these interviews that have happened, and friends. I accept friends on a daily basis. Many friend requests daily, and I try to answer every last one of them. Yet, um, to go to my website, the website I Walk Amongst Gods, and to contact my agent, um, it will put you at the front of the line, and that would be the way.
Well, dag. Well, God bless. This was definitely powerful for me. I know it's going to be powerful for whoever sees this. And like I said, I'll have all that contact information in the description, so definitely we'll have it. Any ending words for the people, Jeff?
Um, First, I'd like to say thank you, Erica, for having me.
For sure.
You're a beautiful soul. I can see your aura, and it's beautiful. And I
Thank
thank you
you.
for that. Um,
Thank you.
that was one of the gifts that I was given, that we all have. That's what I want to. The stressing point that I want to stress is that we all have these gifts. They lie dormant within every one of us, and we have to awaken them. That's it. That's it. And every gift that I have, everyone has, and you can awaken it. You can tap into it, and I tell you, it's a beautiful thing when you wake up that day and you say, you know what, every aspect of my life is in order. And it's work. Don't get me wrong, it's work.
Yes.
It's work. You have to go within yourself. You have to be disciplined in your meditations and in your connection with the higher self and with the creator. Yet it's there. He put it inside of us. That thing we call God, the universe, he put it inside of us, and it's there for us to tap into. And we can all tap into it.
We can all tap into it. Well,
Yes.
thank you again, Jeff. Thank you everybody for
Thank you.
listening.
Thank you.
Listening again. This is the Vision Rebirth podcast. My name is E, and cut.